At 6:47 in the morning, the only bridge to Ray Holloway's new land was already turned into a checkpoint. A folding table sat across the concrete span like a private toll booth had been dropped onto the county road overnight. Behind it stood Karen Whitaker in a hot pink suit, golden curls perfectly arranged, clipboard in hand, acting as though she had authority over the entire crossing. Two pickup trucks waited in silence behind Ray's F-35. Their drivers staring ahead with the tired stillness of people who had learned that arguing with the wrong person often cost more than paying up. Ray had just bought 6,000 acres outside Cedar Hollow. He had not finished reading the deed packet. He had not opened the plat map. He had not yet pulled the strange sticker off his windshield after Karen's son slapped it there at the bridge, with a grin that felt more insulting than triumphant. A handwritten sign demanded a bridge permit. A crude receipt proved someone had already collected money from him. None of it made sense yet. What made the morning stick in his mind was not the cash. It was the quiet in the other trucks. Grown men. Solid men. Men who looked as if this had happened before, and they had decided it was easier to comply than to fight. That was the moment Ray understood that the bridge wasn't the whole problem. The real problem was that somebody had been getting away with this for years. Ray Holloway had spent 3 decades reading paperwork other people ignored. By the time he retired, he knew how to spot a hidden clause, a bad boundary, and a trap buried inside polite language. He had bought the ranch with the savings from a steady government career, a widow's grief, and a promise he had made to the woman he lost that he would finally live somewhere quiet. The property looked like peace on paper. Rolling pasture, creek bottoms, a weathered barn, 3 horses left behind by the previous owner, a wide sky that seemed to stretch the sound out of everything. The deal had moved fast because the estate wanted out, and Ray had been too busy fixing a roof and tightening fence wire to read every page right away. Across the creek sat Whitestone Creek HOA, a polished subdivision with neat lawns, bright mailboxes, and a reputation for acting as though the world ended at their curb line. At its center was Karen Whitaker, the 36-year-old board president who ran the place like a private kingdom. People in town spoke of her in the same tone they used for bad weather, not with respect, with caution. The old rancher next door had warned him that the bridge caused trouble, but Ray had brushed it off as local gossip. He had no idea that the bridge was the most important piece of property on his land. Karen's first move came the same afternoon. She appeared at Ray's porch in the same hot pink suit, curly golden hair shining under the sun, clipboard tucked under one arm, moving like a woman who considered herself an inspector rather than a neighbor. She never asked permission to step onto the porch. She never asked whether the fence line was his. She went straight into enforcement mode. His cedar fence was a violation because it could be seen from Lot 47. His cattle were a nuisance because they could be viewed from HOA windows. A neighbor agreement was laid on the railing, as if paper alone could turn it into law. Beneath the polished smile was the real message, plain and cold. If he used the bridge, he would be treated as someone who had accepted the HOA's authority. Ray saw the sticker still sitting on his windshield from the bridge stop that morning. He saw the yellow receipt in his glove box. He saw Karen's son standing beside the truck in a dark hoodie with peeling white letters, acting like a young guard posted at a private border. That was when the shape of the trap finally came into focus. This was not about a fence. It was about control. The bridge was the hook. The fee was the test. If he paid once and stayed quiet, the pressure would keep growing until he either bowed or bled money. Ray did not react. He did not raise his voice. He simply watched Karen leave and understood that she had mistaken patience for surrender. Karen escalated quickly. The next time Ray approached the bridge, it was blocked by an orange barrier and a plywood sign demanding more money. Karen stood there again in her hot pink suit, clipboard ready, and this time she had already called for law enforcement after deciding he was refusing to accept her rules. Ray had been recording the entire situation. The dash cam held the first toll stop. His phone preserved the false claims. When the county deputy arrived, he took one look at the scene and immediately understood that the story Karen had built was far thinner than she wanted it to appear. Then the damage spread beyond the bridge. A HOA maintenance crew cut Ray's gate chain and stepped onto his land without permission to clear brush they claimed was near the community entrance. One worker kicked over a boundary marker on the way out. A few days later, a controlled burn on the HOA side of the creek jumped the wind and scorched 3 acres of Ray's pasture, taking a fence line and an old oak tree with it. The report called it negligence. Then Karen went public. She posted Ray's truck, called him a threat, and told the neighborhood he was trying to steal their bridge. The HOA page filled with fear, outrage, and rumors. Then came the lien against his home. Then came the threat to shut him out of the only crossing to his own land. That was the breaking point. Ray finally opened the title packet at the kitchen table. Under the lamp, with the plat map spread flat, he saw the black line marking the bridge sit squarely inside his acreage. Not near the edge, inside. The bridge was his. Karen had filed a lien on a house she had no right to touch. What made the situation unavoidable was not the paperwork. It was Mrs. Ellison. She came to Ray's porch in a soft pink cardigan, hands trembling, carrying a casserole she had nearly dropped twice on the walk-up. Her husband needed dialysis 3 times a week, and the bridge was the only practical route to keep those appointments. The HOA had frightened residents for years, and nobody had dared challenge Karen because every attempt had only drawn more pressure. Ray listened. He looked at the old woman's worry and realized the toll booth was no longer a petty insult. It had become a leash on an entire neighborhood. That was the moment he stopped thinking like a man protecting his own fence and started thinking like a man building a case. He called Paula Reyes, a real estate attorney with the calm of someone who had spent years around bad assumptions and worse paperwork. She studied the deed chain, the tax records, the HOA bylaws, and the receipt from the bridge toll. Then she confirmed what Ray had already begun to suspect. There was no recorded easement, no bridge ownership, no legal right for the HOA to charge a toll. After that, the plan became patience. Paula told him to let Karen keep digging. Every false step would make the collapse bigger. So Ray waited. He let the HOA overplay its hand. He let the residents gather. He let Karen schedule the emergency meeting where she planned to turn him into the villain. That was the last wrong move she ever made. The courtroom was packed when the hearing began. Karen arrived in a dark blazer instead of her pink suit, but the attitude was unchanged. Her attorney looked uneasy before the first document even hit the screen. Then Paula laid out the evidence in a clean, relentless order. The plat map showed the bridge inside Ray's land. The tax records showed the bridge had been taxed to Ray's parcel for 15 years. The HOA bylaws never mentioned the bridge. The title chain showed no easement. The receipt was in Karen's own handwriting. The dashcam recording captured the toll demand. The HOA meeting transcript preserved her claim that the bridge had always been theirs. By the time the judge finished reviewing everything, the room had gone still. The lien was vacated. Further interference was blocked. The HOA was ordered to stop treating the bridge like private property. Karen sat frozen, stunned by the one thing she had never expected to face, a document she could not bully. Outside the courtroom, the whole balance of the story had changed in a single morning. The settlement came later. The HOA ended up owing Ray a large payout for the tolls, the burned pasture, the damaged fence, and the false claims. Karen lost her presidency in a recall vote that left the neighborhood finally willing to speak. Her family's landscaping deal was exposed. County investigators started asking uncomfortable questions. The quiet subdivision that once tolerated her rules began to reset itself piece by piece. The new board recorded a permanent easement for residents and emergency vehicles, renamed the crossing Holloway Crossing, and made sure no one could ever turn the bridge into a private toll booth again. Ray did not gloat. He fixed the barn roof. He fed his cattle. He kept the bridge open and legal. He hung the old permit sticker in his workshop as a reminder that paperwork always outlasts posturing when the deed is on your side. The lesson spread fast through the neighborhood. The HOA was no longer a kingdom. It was a group of homeowners who had finally learned that a loud voice is not the same as legal ownership. So here's the real question for you. If someone tried to charge you a toll to cross your own land, would you pay it once and keep quiet? Or would you read the survey first?